People always talk about ahimsa, non-violence. And whenever you think of ahimsa, it's always action, right? That non-violence of action is more important. But what comes before action is thought and speech. And both these also need to be non-violent. Nothing you say should ever hurt anybody. If it's unintentional, that's one thing. But you should not deliberately say something with the purpose of causing pain or hurt or belittling them or making them feel small. Your speech should be reserved. We don't talk all the time. Talking expends prana. You have one energy, just one energy in your body, and you can use it any way you want. The less you talk, the better it is. The less trouble you are in, things go better. You conserve your energy and have pure thoughts. Being honest is one thing, but being brutally honest is quite another. And this is what we learn as we live in society. So when someone walks into the room, we don't say, "Oh my God, you're looking so old." Although that might be the truth. You don't say things, you don't say anything that you know hurts somebody. But we're not all like that. In fact, most people make a point of knowing what hurts whom, in which way, and then say it. And then say things that deliberately hurt. And that's why your buttons get pushed, right? That's why you get upset with certain people. Because they just know that if they talk about this, you're going to get mad. You're going to get upset. While you can't speak for the world, it's much better to remain silent, to keep your opinions to yourself. To make very general comments about things without getting into subjects, into areas that get too personal and too hurtful. Sometimes it's best not to know. When my mother was ill, I never let my children know the details or the seriousness, because I just didn't feel it was needed for them. And we tend to shield our children and our family members from pain. We try not to get them. We'd rather take on the pain ourselves than have our children face that pain. So in many ways we do lie. Many ways we do lie. And it's all perspective, right? So what is the truth? Your grandma's fine. She is. Today she's okay. It makes a big difference if I say your grandma's fine. Say, "Oh my God, your grandma's really, really sick. God knows how long she's going to live. She's probably going to die, and she's facing this problem and she's facing that problem." End result, you have expended energy creating negativity, created negative energy within you. Now the person listening to you is also feeling very depressed and down and miserable. Sometimes it's much better to just say, "It's all okay. It's all okay." Do we have enough money to live? Yeah, we'll do very well. Even though you may not have money to last you a month, But knowing that we'll do very well means that today, tomorrow, every day, I'm going to go through the day as if I have plenty. As if I have enough to last me a lifetime, to last me 3 lifetimes. Sometimes it's better not to know the truth, not to be perfectly honest. And I find that even with generations, with children and adults. I remember even growing up, there was a stage in my life where I stopped sharing confidences, or every confidence with my mother and my father. Because they just wouldn't understand. They just wouldn't get it. We're not supposed to be thinking those thoughts. We're not supposed to be doing those things. But my friends were all doing it, and I thought that was okay. And I never shared. And with every generation, it's the same. While you have excellent communication with your child, you don't want to know everything they do. You seriously don't. Because whatever you might say, it's going to be totally different from what you're accustomed to. And by prying into their lives, you're just going to embarrass them and yourself. I had a friend who, after their children went to sleep, would turn on their cell phones and check their messages. And she was a thoroughly miserable person. There's no need for so much honesty between mother and child, because kids talk different, talk to their friends. We need to respect their space, just like we don't share everything with our children. We don't tell them the harsh realities of life. We shield them from everything. Similarly, their harsh realities, they shield us from. And you don't need to know. And you don't need to ask. And you don't need to comment on everything. You can let things slide, let things pass. Because there is no truth, there is no reality, there is no right, there is no wrong. It all basically depends on the set of values you place, that you have in your home. What you consider right is not what you consider right, is not what she considers right. We all have different experiences, different cultures. And we've gotten used to also receiving dishonesty from our politicians, right? Nobody speaks honestly anymore. You never know what people mean when they say something. So words don't mean anything. Words are just pointers. Just because your state politician said something, it doesn't mean that. It could mean quite the opposite. Just because your husband promises you something, it doesn't mean that. It's just what he's saying. Words don't mean anything. They really don't. They are just pointers to a direction. There is no right, there is no wrong, there is no truth, there is no untruth. It is all what you make of it. Everyone is in search of truth, right? Be truthful. To what point? To what point are you going to be truthful? To what extent? If being truthful is going to put you away in jail for 100 years, would you consider being truthful? I'd rather be truthful and be put in a prison somewhere in Turkey for 50 years of my life. Would you be truthful then? We lie for a number of reasons. To survive, to escape, and mainly to escape any type of punishment. Because if you tell the truth, you're going to get into trouble. You're going to get into trouble. Sometimes it's all right to lie. It depends on the motivation behind it. What are you lying about? What are you lying for? There are so many grades of lying. Mark Twain has written an essay on the different kinds of lies that are possible. The golden lie, the white lie. It's quite an interesting essay if you ever get your hands on it. But truth is just a matter of perspective. You ask someone, you ask your husband, how do you like this new outfit? Oh, looks great. Okay, tell me really, do you really like it? He says, actually the color doesn't suit you. Finished. You won't talk to him for the rest of the evening. You won't forgive him for saying that the color doesn't suit you because you spend so much time buying something. It is very, very subjective. Sometimes you just have to say the right thing, say what has to be said, because you're in a society, you're in a social setting where it is acceptable to talk about certain things and not acceptable to talk about certain others.
What about if you think that the person that you care about is going to make a mistake or something harmful? Then is it appropriate to be honest?
Like I said, it depends so much on the situation. You can be honest, but don't expect that loved one or that person to actually take your advice. Be prepared for the consequences because they may not like to hear what you have to say. So you may have to say it in all honesty. You may have to get it all off your chest. You may think you're doing the right thing, but you might end up doing some more harm than good. You might ruin the relationship. You have to remember that at the end of it all, we all have our individual journeys. We are in no way responsible for anyone else's journey. So when you take that risk of telling someone you're with the wrong person, you need to break it off. This is not going to happen. Be prepared for that person to say, who are you to tell me? May not see it in the same light as you do. Right? Many parents in India decide, that the prospective son-in-law and daughter-in-law is not good, and they cut their children off. You're willing to do that? With any relationship, whether it's your husband, as close as your husband, or your children, there are things you say and there are things you don't. You maintain the peace at all costs. And more than anything, you maintain your own peace of mind. At the end of the day, what matters is, are you happy? Happiness is your birthright. You have to be happy. You cannot say something rashly or in a moment of passion or in an argument or in getting caught and then live to regret it. Because words, you don't have to say them. The less you say, the better it is, the less trouble there is for the world. No one wants to hear what you have to say. Keep your opinions to yourself and just go about doing what you have to do. Talk when it's needed. And whenever you do talk, make sure it's something nice, something uplifting, something good. After all, we have this one life, and the only reason we are here is to be nice to others, to help others, to be of some use to someone else. And if we are going to be of any use by being brutally honest, by all means. But I think in many cases it's prudent to just be silent.